I'm back on Dirty Rude, back again, Tuesday mood. Well, hello and happy Tuesday, one and all, everybody in the VooTube world, what is in my laptop? Ice is back again, it's your old Gert, yes I am back on my perch. I found a doozy, you know me, I do like finding doozies. I'm moving you, right. Here we have Julia Hartley Brewery, well it's Julia Hartley, what lives above a brewery. And yes, she's compos mentis today. Yes, she's spitting some truth bombs out through no VooTubers. Yes, she is. And she's tucking in to the bleeding Montishitshhow bleeding grifters. And I've been going around the VooTube, you know, like you do, the souks and boulevard, highways and byways of your VooTube world. And I'm hearing some gossip I am, VooTubers. I'm hearing some rumours. And I've got me bloomers. So they must be true. Do you get me, capiche? Yes. Ooh. Well, you know in America, yes, they have some rather strong medicinal things you can take. Yes, you can probably get them off your doctor. I mean, after all, you're paying him in America, so he's going to give you whatever you want. And apparently, what I'm hearing is that somebody, a certain somebody, who I shall not name, the Basmeister, yes, has took himself off into a medical facility. Yes, due to something or other that no one knows about. And the other one is, the second rumour, is that apparently he's been doing the dirty. Yes, he has. It's almost 90% certain it's going on somewhere on the VooTube. I mean, you don't know what to believe anymore, do you? I mean, you know, perish the thought that anybody should accuse the markets of cycling and recycling misinformation and disinformation, VooTubers. I mean, we couldn't have that now, could we? Right, so let's jump in and see what Julia Hartley, what lives above the brewery, has discerned out of all this scandal. Let's go, Julia.
More stories.
What's happened?
Biography
what have they done?
About how upset the Queen was about Harry and Meghan.
Oh, I just think the Queen was just upset because they're them, aren't they, really, to be fair? Do you know what I mean? Oh, dear, just their name's enough to make you upset. Come on.
Lilibet. And I think it's very poignant line from her, you know, that I don't own my
I've got a theory on that as well. Because I can't see, this is me. There's people out there saying, he's been took to hospital, he's been taking this, he's been doing that. Oh yeah, we've also heard it's 90% certain he's had an affair. Well, here's a bit of Gertie. Scurrilous insight. I can't see that the Queen would have, per se, been bothered about it, if you get me, capiche, the name. But, if she knows the name is attached to, let's just say, a sort of social construct or psyop construct of an artifice or edifice or organism that doesn't in fact exist. It's kind of mercurial, if you get me. Are you listening to me? Do you get where I'm going with this? Maybe, I mean, she's a bleeding Queen. The royals, they know whether something is true or not true. So if you're hearing me, maybe that would have been the cause of her disquiet on them taking her nickname for somebody that may or may not exist. I mean, I don't know, it's my opinion, but I mean, let's have it right. We ain't seen them, so do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's move on.
All the beautiful pictures.
Because it's rather dragging the majesty into it. Because all these things will come to pass. Everything is seen, the light will be shined upon it, or something it says in the Bible that I actually don't know what I'm on about. But everything that's hidden will remain unhidden, or whatever the word is. When it comes to pass, maybe the palace per se don't want that whole business coming back to bite them. Well, they must have been complicit. After all, she gave her permission for them to use the name. I mean, they must have known that it was all a psyop and it's all bullshit and she doesn't exist. Do you get me, capiche? I mean, that's my opinion and I'm entitled to my opinion. But until I see with my own eyes that child or those children with them, possibly with their birth certificates as well, to be fair, capiche, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they are somewhat obscure, aren't they, VooTubers? Let's just put it that way. Let's leave it like that. Let's not say too much. I want to keep my head down. I want to keep my nose clean, keep myself to myself. I don't get myself involved. I don't want to speak out of turn, VooTubers. You know me, you old girl. Oh, perish the thought for me to spread gossip.
Her late husband called her this nickname. And Harry and Meghan claimed that they had asked permission but it's quite clear from this that they hadn't. And I don't think if they had asked permission, she would have said, yes, it's a personal nickname. And then to call their daughter that and somehow a tribute, when I don't think...
I think she would have said, well, it's perfectly okay to call, your daughter Elizabeth. It's a nice name. I think I've been here before with this. I'm just going over the same old ground, aren't I? Oh, dear, going over the same old ground in my own town, right? But I can't help thinking, because I do, my brain doesn't work, as you've known me enough now to know that my brain don't function properly, VooTube. It doesn't. I think I was dropped on my head, when I was a kid. So from where I'm standing, I'm thinking, well, if this child doesn't really exist, but they've pretended it to be, because there was a whole load of shenanigans during the lockdown, with her falling on the body as she was falling on the floor as she was holding her baby, losing her fetus, and this, that, and the other, feeding some BS. And the next thing you know, she's up the duff. I mean, the woman's what was she, about 48 at the time? Or 40, like, don't be a bitch, Gert. She was about 44, wasn't she, to be fair. Bob's your Uncle Fanny's your aunt, she's up the bleeding spot again. And then sort of 6 months, 9 months, or whatever it was, 8 months, 7 months, or however many time, it came to pass that a child had been born of the loins or whatever of this creature. Just don't believe it. And it would make more sense why the Queen was angry and why the palace wanted to get it out and get it on record, that despite what they said at the time that the Queen gave her permission, it's now on record that she was stymied and she didn't give her permission. And they actually threatened to take the BBC to court, these two on the Marklets, sent out legal letters to the BBC and other journalistic enterprises, let's put it like that, threatening them with legal action, because you know what they're like, do you get me to peace? If they dared say that the Queen, at the time, that the Queen hadn't given her permission for them to use her private name, Lilibet, or a nickname, Lilibet, for this imaginary child. Or in their minds, do you know what I mean? You don't know what's going on with them two, do you? So, I mean, this is a woman that wanted to be on the front page of every paper and magazine 5 out of every 7 days of the week. So, I mean, anything is literally possible. Yes, the gates are open, my dear. Yes, and I think the horses are both bolted. And in this case, I do think there's a bit more to it. And the palace is really eager that we all know that it was literally nothing to do with the Queen. So that when it does come to pass, no mud will besmirch her belated memory. That's just my opinion.
We never even got to meet her granddaughter. Or great-granddaughter.
Well, how could she if she doesn't exist? Do you get me?
How
Oh, hello.
would you be to choose somebody's nickname? I mean, you must have nicknames in your family. I have them in mine.
Well, I mean, she chose Archie after that stupid bleeding cartoon thing she used to watch as a kid in the 70s. I mean, I know she tries to say it was the 80s, but I've seen the thing, I've looked it up. And to me, it reminds me of watching Tintin in the 70s when I was a kid, and it was blatantly made in the 60s, for 60s kids, not sort of 70s and 80s kids, do you get me? And so I watched this Archie thing and I thought, well, that's a 70s format cartoon bullshit. I can't believe that they were showing that on, what was it, Nickelodeon in the 80s, MTV or whatever. I just don't. It looks much more like a 7. I mean, I'm not American, so I don't know. I mean, put me right if I'm wrong. But to be fair, it's very dated. The protagonist in the kids' cartoon was called Archie. And there was a character in it called Katie Keene, you see. So, obviously, there's no way that the Marklet, the Megalite, in any way had any input into Omid Scobie's, oh my God, here we go, I got scabies book. No, literally, no way at all. No, even though, yes, I've just said it, don't repeat it, Gert, you muppet. Right, let's go on.
Fine, and they are very personal.
I'm unrepeatable on it.
Hello, Baldy.
Likewise. But they are very personal, and there's a reason behind them. And I think to take that, why not just give the daughter Elizabeth as a middle name, as most of the other grandchildren have had?
Yeah.
And then you can call her Lilibet if you want.
Well, don't forget Queen Victoria. All of her children had Victoria somewhere, and her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. And most of the male side of the family had Albert wangled in somewhere as well. But she didn't want any of them using Albert. She didn't want a King Albert. Like her son, Edward, who went on to be Edward VII. He was Albert Edward. Edward Albert. No, he was Albert Edward. Yeah, that's right. But she had a decree. She let it be known that she didn't want anybody being the King Albert, obviously, because that was the name of her much-loved late husband. Do you get me? And Edward was her father's name. Edward was Duke of Kent, so he just called himself Edward. But most of them had... I don't know whether there's any male descendants of the Queen and Philip that have got Philip as a middle name. That'd be interesting. I mean, I really literally don't know that. I mean, I know they're all called David after their uncle bleeding David, aren't they? They've got a lot of Davids going on in their long, long names, but... I mean, put me right, I don't know. Actually, I'm going to look into that, because I rather do like having a rummage around and a good old nosy. Let's go.
I don't know, I always sort of feel bad talking about these are very personal things. But again, I can imagine, I wouldn't wish being royal on my worst enemy. I can imagine your whole life is so public. Everything you do, so you have to be so careful about who you speak to.
Oh, you're looking at someone that loves... You're looking at these two bleeding cretins. They love being in the public eye. I mean, if you're not looking at them or talking about them, it's not a day for them, is it? Come on.
And that's what I've always thought so off about Harry.
Yes.
About
is that a tiny tears, my darling? Oh my God, get your claws off that poor little child. Good grief, bleeding woman.
I just find it extraordinary.
Jesus Christ.
That will cause. It's quite bizarre, isn't it?
Well, everything about them's bleeding bizarre. That's all you can say. They're just a pair of menaces, really. But he may or may not be having an affair, and he may or may not have had to avail himself of some medical facilities due to an overconsumption of something or other that none of us are allowed to talk about. And with that, I'll leave you. But I still don't reckon that. I still think that some things don't really exist. They're just a construct, they're just a tale. Like all the other bleed BS they come out with. Probably all imploding on them now, isn't it, really? I think what we should really take away from all this is when you are actually trying to be somebody in this world, and you marry into probably the most well-known family on the planet, don't piss on their chips. Do you get me, capiche? Anyway, I love you and leave you. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon or night. Bye-bye now.